If you remember in yesterday's video, I was talking about David Moyes delaying the return of players that should be really important to, number one, him keeping his job, and number two, the team doing well and the team getting back to winning ways. And those players were, of course, Areola, Keira, Rice and Paqueta, because they've been involved in sort of the latter stages of the World Cup, if you like. They're being given a little bit of additional time. And also you can throw Nigel Gerd into the mix. Now, I made all my points on that video yesterday. I'm not going to repeat myself, but after I finished recording the video, I actually thought to myself, how important are those players to David Moyes? And realistically, are they going to be heavily involved in what David Moyes considers to be his real crunch time and his real crunch games? Because, and it's not just David Moyes on this, I've seen Hodgson do it. I've literally seen Roy Hodgson losing his job before his eyes, yet still relying on the same players who got him into that position. I'm talking about the England job there, not the Crystal Palace one. I've seen Sam Allardyce do it. Literally before our very eyes, you saw Sam Allardyce sort of accidentally construct a West Ham team with Valencia and Saka and Stuart Downing playing in the central attacking midfield. We've discussed it all before, that got West Ham up into the top four halfway through the season. Yet what did he do to rely on to carry him on? He uttered those by now immortal words, which are, we have to find a way to get Andy Carroll and Kevin Nolan back into the team. Well, actually, you didn't. You didn't have to do that, Sam, at all, because you were fourth at that point. Why were you trying to shoehorn them back into the team in the hope of getting second or something like that? The rest is history. Swapped the team around. We tumbled down the league. It eventually ended up costing Sam Allardyce his job. But my point in this is not to particularly highlight anything about Sam Allardyce or Roy Hodgson or anybody else for that matter. It's just that managers, when they're either under the cosh or when they need to get results, be it to survive or excel, will rely on a core group of players who they trust. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about these players that are coming back from the World Cup late. Who out of those are trusted players for David Moyes? Well, one. Just one. Declan Rice. And actually, it doesn't matter. Declan Rice could come back from the World Cup an hour before the Arsenal game and he'd still be in the team. It's as simple as that. And I find this to be quite a weird situation, really, because if what you want to do is you want to battle and get your way out of a situation, then surely just repeating what's got you into that situation is not the right thing to do. Don't get me wrong, I understand about loyalty. I understand about people you trust. All that stuff I get. I don't need the concept of loyalty explained to me. But at some point, it comes down to the detriment. But anyway, it got me thinking, how many places are actually up for grabs in our team? Now, there's some people in the past I thought David Moyes is never going to drop. One of them was Antonio. He's shown that he can. Another one's Fornells. He's shown that he can. But as I look at it, there's 5 or 6 players who you just know, as long as they're fit, will play against Arsenal. And they're not all fit, by the way. When I say fit, there's some players who will play even if they're half fit. Which obviously, when you've got some players that are guaranteed starters, there's going to be less places for other players. How many places are up for grabs? Okay, let's just go through it now from back to front. Lucas Fabianski is guaranteed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. Now, actually, I think Fabianski's having a pretty damn good season. I think this is possibly second or third best season at West Ham, and let's be fair, he's seen an awful lot of action this particular season. But it doesn't matter how much we spent on Areola. It doesn't matter whether Areola's in the World Cup winning squad. Obviously, they didn't win, they came second, but you get what I'm saying. Whether he came from PSG, it doesn't matter that Areola's probably on twice the wages that Fabianski's on. Fabianski, that's his shirt. It's as simple as that. Looking across that back line, there's another person who basically just gets in all the time. And that's Dawson, irrespective of form. And I think even this season, David Moyes is basing his selection, Dawson, rather than the Dawson of Christmas present, it's very much the Dawson of Christmas past. And that's why he's getting into the team. Don't get me wrong, I think he's been a great servant for the club. I think he's excellent. I would like to think that Dawson can come back. But at the moment, is he the best option? Well, possibly. If he is, it's only because the squad is decimated by injury. Also, Zuma plays. Zuma plays all the time, even when he's injured. Now, his injury is so bad now that he physically can't. But David Moyes just plays Zuma whenever. So those places are not up for grabs. He may have to do something different for the Arsenal game for obvious reasons I just mentioned. But those places are not up for grabs. And then you get to Aaron Cresswell as well. And Aaron Cresswell, it doesn't matter. His place is not up for grabs. He will not drop Cresswell. And by the way, I don't think he should. I think Cresswell has been absolutely excellent. But it does come a position in the team where I think that it doesn't make any sense at all. Before I get to that position, I think you know what it is. I think you know who I'm talking about. This video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, which you can download by clicking the link underneath this screen. The OneFootball app is free to download, but what probably sets it apart from every other football app is that you can tailor it to deliver you the news that you want. So if all you want is West Ham news and England news, you tell it at the point that you download it. And what it does, it searches the internet, it scours all the newspapers for all those England and West Ham stories, it bundles them up into one place and chucks them at your phone. So if, like me, you're sick of hearing whether Lionel Messi or Ronaldo is the greatest of all time and you just want some West Ham news, then the OneFootball app is the place to go. Please use the link below. They give us a little pat on the head because they'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you. The conundrum and the position that really concerns me is central midfield, and it's Thomas Souček. Because this should be a position that is up for grabs. I have nothing against Thomas Souček. In fact, I think Thomas Souček's the victim in all of this, by the way. Thomas Souček, left to his own devices, left to play in the manner in which he was when he first joined, gets in my team every day of the week as that rampaging box-to-box attacking midfielder, if you like. I think box-to-box is not an attacking midfielder, but you know what I mean. The guy that was there, the late runs into the box, the headers, the getting on the end of crosses, all that stuff. That guy gets in my team all the time. That's not the same guy that we have now. In fact, you could actually make a better case for me that Thomas Souček could play in central defence than you could as an attacking midfield at the moment. That's what David Moyes has turned him into. We say the same about Fornals. He turned Fornals from an attacking midfielder into a sort of holding wide player. He's transformed. Absolutely transformed Thomas Souček. Now, in terms of how he's playing and the way he's deployed at the moment, I actually think Souček is probably the worst of our midfielders. I would have Rice, Paqueta, Lanzini and Downs all in central midfield ahead of Thomas Souček at the moment. I really, really would. As I say, if we change the formation, you had him just as a defender or just some guy shielding the back four. You know, maybe. But those days of the rampage in attacking midfielder who scores goals, they're gone. So you've got to assess him on what he's doing now. And at the moment, I think he's the worst of them. But there's a massive contradiction here with what David Moyes has done with Thomas Souček, and here's what it is. Thomas Souček, after his first season and a half, his first 18 months, you remember he joined us in January on loan with a view to a permanent move. He came in, he scored some goals, helped us, one of the many reasons why we stayed up. And then his next season, he scored, got into double figures in goals. So that 18-month period, really, really good. He wanted a new contract at that point. He thought he was worth £100,000 a week. Now, I just want to sort of contextualise that a little bit. Because at the point we were hearing stories that clubs like Bayern Munich might be interested in Thomas Souček at 50 million. And at that point, we were not saying that's ridiculous. Let's sell him. He's only worth 10. We were saying, we don't want to lose this guy. We could actually see it happening. He was playing that well, double figures in the Premier League, that you actually thought, okay, this is a guy who clearly would be coveted by other clubs in Europe. It was believable. That's my point. So bearing in mind Thomas Souček thought he was worth 100 grand a week, bearing in mind that a lot of us thought it was believable that he might be worth 50 million, that's not unreasonable request, 100 grand a week. But it's actually David Moyes who turned around and said, no, I'm not giving you that. I don't think you're worth it. Now, here's where the contradiction comes in. Because he won't bloody drop him. David Moyes will not drop him. It's only very, very recently that he's even accepted that he might just substitute him every now and again. Not often, but every now and again. The messaging is so conflicting. I'm not going to give you the 100 grand a week, which is basically what you really should get if you're one of the main men, right? That's what he's saying. That's what his contract says. However, the messaging in terms of team selection is you're the main guy. You're my main guy. You're my go-to guy in central midfield. Obviously, we know Declan Rice is there as well. And Declan Rice is the guy that completes this, the central midfield but of players that are undroppable. And you get it, and I understand it. The last player, by the way, is of course, Jarrod Bowen. Which is what this video was all about. It was about the undroppable players. Where's the place for someone else to come in? Well, you just know, as well as Ben Rama's played this season, Ben Rama's place is up for grabs if someone does well. The centre forward, it's hard to say. I think it is really, really hard to say. Right back is up for grabs, we know this. But there's not that many. There's not that many positions in the team. I'll just look at it now, and I look at it with a view to the fact that I'm about to go and record an Arsenal preview with Gio. And realistically, how many of that team are going to be kept on their toes because they don't know whether they're going to feature or not? Not that many. There are a significant number of West Ham players who know, irrespective of form, irrespective of results, they're going to be in David Moyes' team. And that can't be healthy.